Hi everyone, I'm George. This is my new aquascape. It's going to be really budget friendly. I can't wait to get started, I'm so excited. So if you're new to my channel and you like aquarium videos, especially aquascaping and inspirational aquariums, then do subscribe, hit that notification bell, and you automatically get notified every time we upload a new video. This has previously been used as a holding tank for fish that I've been putting in there during a rescape or growing out plants, but I thought it's a really good opportunity to show you guys how to create an aquascape on a budget. So this is why this video is being created for you right now. So the NEWA Mirabello 60 comes complete with lighting, heater and filtration. It's an internal filter built into this compartment here on the left, and also the heater is in there. The lighting I've actually customised. It comes with a hood with two T5s, but I've taken that hood off and I've replaced it with an over tank LED unit from Beamswork. These are a really good value. These come in at about 40, 50 pounds, maybe 50 or 60 US dollars from something like eBay. And it's actually a better light. The T5s in the original model were mounted quite far forward, so a lot of the background plants weren't receiving enough light. So this, quite a powerful light, 20 watts of LED, which is quite powerful for a 60-litre aquarium or 15 US gallons. So plenty of light to grow our chosen plants. I've also got a black background and I've blackened out the sides of the aquarium. I've just painted it with a black matte paint that I got from a local DIY store. And this is going to help prevent excess natural light coming in and potentially give us algae issues. Where the tank is in my home, lots of natural light. I've got a couple of skylights just above us right there. Got big glass doors just here which let loads of natural light in. So I just want to minimise that excess natural light from potentially causing us algae. So we've already got some soil in there from the previous setup. This is Dennerle Scapers soil, loads of other soils out there, all perform a very similar function. It is one of the more expensive parts of the setup. This retails for about 35, 40 pounds or 35, 40 US dollars. But it's really a really good part of the system. It has lots of benefits to the water quality, helps feed the plant roots, really great for shrimp. And I just think it's worth spending out a little bit of cash on a decent substrate system. Okay, now it's time to aquascape. So if you've watched any of my previous videos on how I aquascape, we always start off with a hardscape. And it's worth reiterating what I think about hardscape. It is the most important part of the aquascape. It's the backbone of the layout. If we compare it to a human being, the hardscape is like the skeleton. So in a human being, you have the skeleton and you have the muscles and the flesh that form around the skeleton to form hopefully a strong human being. Well, it's very similar in an aquascape. Start off with a very strong hardscape and more than likely you're going to be able to create a strong aquascape. Okay, so I've got some nice wood here and I'm just looking at it. I need to use the vertical element to get the height. So let's just pop that in there, around about 1/3 of the way across. Using the rule of thirds is a really good idea in aquascaping, helps out with composition. So the rule of thirds, basically split the tank horizontally by 1/3 and then line up your main focal point around about 1/3 of the way along, and that's nice and aesthetically balanced. So I've got a second piece here. I'm not very happy with it, it's a bit too centralised, so I'm just going to have a play around. When you're working at home with your hardscape, don't be content with it until you're absolutely 100% sure you can't make it look any better. So okay, still not happy with this central stone, far too centred, looks too symmetrical, not easy on the eye at all. Okay, better. Okay, now it's time to do some planting. So I've got a nice mixture of easy plants here. We're not going to inject CO2 into the aquarium, so we're not going to use demanding plants. Although the lighting is fairly strong, especially for a non-CO2 tank, so I do expect the plants will grow absolutely fine. They'll just grow a lot more slowly than compared to if you're using CO2 injection. So background plant, we've got Rotala Green. This is from Aquaflora. Then we've got some Ludwigia, palustris, super red. This has just been trimmed out of my Aquascaper 600. We've got some Cryptocoryne, usteriana, from Tropica, and then we've got some Tropica 1-2 Grow Helanthium tenellum green, which used to be known as Echinodorus tenellus, and Micranthemum Monte Carlo. So both carpeting species. It'll be interesting to see how these do in a non-CO2 tank. So a shout out to Aquarium Gardens for supplying these beautiful plants. I'll leave a link to the website in the description, and super excited to get planting. Okay, if you've never seen me prepare a 1-2 Grow from Tropica before, this is what we do, really simple. Remove the lid. Take out the plant in one clump, like so. Now it comes in a nutrient-rich liquid, which we must remove. So just gently squeeze the plant to get rid of all that liquid. And that's ready to split up into more portions, which I'll do in a moment. Now let's do our Helanthium tenellum green, exactly the same. Remove the lid, take out the plant, get rid of all the solution, and then again squeeze it. We're ready to split that up into more portions. Okay, let's start off with the Micranthemum Monte Carlo. Divide it in half, divide it in half again, and then looking at about 1 centimetre size portions. You can divide this as many times as you like. You could, I've done it before, divide it so you have individual stems. And there's about 500. Trust me, I've done it before. I called it the 1 pot challenge, and I planted a whole 60 centimetre aquascape with just 1 pot of this stuff. And it is a long, tedious process, so I'm not going to do that today. You can see how much plant you get out of just 1 pot. Amazing value for money. The Tropica 1-2 Grow, I believe, are the best tissue culture plants around as well. I've tried so many different brands now. Okay, let's do the same. Let's just move them across. And let's do the same with our Helanthium tenellum. This is a bit more robust, so a bit trickier to divide. It's actually carpeting in the pot, so takes a bit longer to do this. You can see how the plants are actually carpeting. You can see that, guys. Beautiful plant though. Really quite rampant, really quite a fast grower this. And Monte Carlo is as well, so it'll be really interesting to see how these two do in our budget tank with no CO2 injection. We have got the soil, but I will be adding liquid fertiliser every day. I'll probably add about 3 millilitres a day, and that's just going to keep the plants really well fed. The plants will get nutrients from their roots through the soil, and also through their leaves through the liquid fertiliser. And that's the thing, you need to keep the plants really well fed. If you keep the plants well fed, and if there's enough healthy plants, then algae doesn't stand a chance. You'll hear me talking about algae a lot. Algae is the #1 people give up the hobby. It's the #1 question I get asked about. There isn't a day that goes by where I don't get a Facebook message or a DM on Instagram or an email. George, how do I get rid of this algae? And the answer is simple. Focus on growing your plants really healthily. Plenty of maintenance. So I'll be doing at least a 50% water change on this tank every week. And that helps to dilute those waste organics, which otherwise will lead to algae. Loads of, look at, it's just so many plants out of 1 pot. And this is really great because this is budget friendly, isn't it? So these cost, I think, $5.99 from Aquarium Gardens. We're only using 2 pots of the tissue culture, and that's plenty for this aquarium. So yeah, definitely on budget. Okay, that's plants. So I'm going to deliberately plant intermittently the species, so it will hopefully form a nice naturalistic mix. You might have noticed I do have some fish and shrimp still in there, but they're absolutely fine. It's not taking me long to do this at all. So the short time that there's no filter or heater in there, that's no problem. Because I do want to keep the fish in here long term, so I thought the stress of catching them, rehoming them temporarily, and then putting them back in would be greater than just leaving them in here with a small amount of water. So one of the good things about using an old soil is that it's full of beneficial bacteria. Still have nutrients in it because I've been using a liquid fertiliser regularly in here. So what that means is the nutrients content of the soil won't be depleted because the plants will be using a lot of the nutrients from the water. I can't believe how many plants I'm getting out of one pot, it's amazing. And you can see I'm just using some fine pincets here to plant. Really simple technique. It'd be pretty much impossible to do this with my fingers. So, really excited about this one. It's you know, I have had a lot of feedback about, you know, you always set up high-end aquascapes, really expensive aquascapes, so you know, it's nice for me to be able to share something a bit more budget friendly with you guys. But it's a really good opportunity to show you all that hopefully we can create something still quite beautiful, but without having to spend hundreds and thousands of, you know, dollars or pounds. You know, I'd estimate total cost of this. If you bought everything kind of used, you know, the tank system itself, you could get on eBay with the lighting and everything for probably under $100, under £100. And then you could, the plants themselves, I'd buy new for sure. Only looking at about 20 or 30 pounds for the plants. I am using some plants from an existing setup, so they're effectively free. And that's another thing you can do. You know, if you look on the message boards, you know, internet forums or Facebook groups, there are plant swap groups out there where you can actually buy or swap aquatic plants with, you know, other users, other members. So look out for that as well. Although I do recommend personally, if you can, buy brand new plants, and you haven't got the risk of transferring any algae, snails, etc. Especially with tissue culture. You know, I'm a huge fan of tissue culture plants. They're grown in laboratory conditions, so you know, guaranteed to be free from algae, free from snails. I find this process really therapeutic. Hopefully you guys watching it find it therapeutic as well, otherwise it'd be a bit boring, I guess. Okay, next I'm going to plant the Cryptocoryne usteriana. So Tropica pots all come with these traffic light system things. So easy, which is green, and they have orange, which is medium, and then a red, which is advanced. So we're only using easy, and I think the Micranthemum Monte Carlo is medium, but everything else is easy. And it tells you a load of other cool stuff, how big it gets, how fast it grows, and what light conditions it needs. So really simple. Remove the label, remove the pot, take off the rock wool. Normally comes apart in 2 halves. Really easy. And then we might be able to split that up into more plantlets like so. There we go. And then we just get rid of that excess rock wool there. It doesn't matter if there's a little bit left. It's no problem. And that's one pot done. Really easy. Same again. And then if the roots are quite long, we can trim them back or just rip them back, and that promotes new root growth. Just get rid of that excess rock wool, and then we can split that up probably into 2 or 3. Cool, ready to plant. Nice and easy, put it in our pincets. Now this is going to be more like a centerpiece plant, so put that in there. It does get quite tall apparently, although I've never actually, I'm growing it in my big aquascape, in my Aquascaper 1200. And I have been told it gets really tall, so I'm not sure if it'll eventually get too big for this aquascape, but there's only one way to find out, isn't there? And love trying out new plants and figuring out how they go. Always stuff to learn in this hobby. It's one of the best things about it. Learn something new every day. Now it's time to plant our Ludwigia palustris. Like I said earlier, this has been taken from my Aquascape 600 Aquascape. Such a fast grower that it does need trimming regularly, and I thought, why not, rather than throwing it away or giving it away, why not reuse it? And again, that's part of our budget friendly philosophy with this Aquascape. So it's probably not going to look so red in this setup. The lighting isn't so strong as my Aquascape 600. There's no CO2, but it will be interesting to see how it does do. It will definitely grow. It will just be a case of I wonder how red it will be. So Ludwigia originates from North America. It's an aquatic weed basically, which is why it grows so quickly. That's a great plant especially for new setups, to help avoid those early algae issues that we often get. And it's probably going to overshade the Cryptocoryne there, but that's no problem. Crypts don't mind a bit of shading. Okay, last but not least, we've got our Rotala Green. Pre-prepared this, same way as preparing the crypts. Very simple. And this is going to just cover the rest of the background, so pop it in with our tweezers again. So this has been grown in its immersed form, which means it's been grown out of water. And you can see it has a distinct kind of round leaf shape. Now what will happen, as it adapts to its underwater growth, which we call submersed, the leaves will go a lot more needle-like, a lot more elongated, and completely transform the appearance of the plant. Again, it's a fast grower, obviously not so fast in our setup because we're non-CO2 injection, but still should be relatively fast and help to avoid these algae issues that we often get in an early stages. Okay, time to plant the left-hand side with our Rotala Green. Okay, plants are in, let's fill up with water. Okay, that's the Aquascape complete. Really happy with it. Really excited to see this one grow in. It will be slow, non-CO2 injection. Lighting's pretty good. Regular internal filter, obviously got a heater in there. Soil's brilliant. I'm going to use Aquascape complete liquid plant food to feed the plants as well. So they should all do quite well in here, but like I say, grow a little bit slower than usual without the CO2 injection. You can see the fish looking really happy already. The shrimp are doing well, all super active, and yeah, it should be a really nice scape to see develop. I'm really looking forward to it. Let me know in the comments what you think to it. Have you enjoyed the video, especially as a budget kind of friendly video? But it just shows hopefully to you guys that you can create something that looks pretty cool without breaking the bank. So you're not going to say next, keep on scaping. Take care guys, cheerio.